having spoken about ikhlas, having spoken about sincerity, and then having also spoken about our intention, so then what if we have some pre-existing beliefs or superstitions that we come with? Right? For example, a lot of us have come across amulets, or what are known as tawiz, or you might notice or know in Arabic they're known as tamaim, or the good luck charm, clover leaves, a necklace with ayatul kursi on it, a lucky ring, or a stone ring made of aqiq, and various other things with inscriptions on them and protection and this and that. Some of us may have been given by other pious people an amulet to wear, which we are told contains verses of the Qur'an and so on and so forth, right? These are things that if we rely upon them, we are committing a form of shirk. It may not take a person out of Islam completely, yet we must understand that if we believe that this contains some power, this contains some healing, this contains some form of protection, it will help me against a spirit, the evil eye, or this or that, even the blue eye with the hand that they have in certain Eastern cultures. All of these, as a Muslim, we are not permitted at all. We are completely forbidden from using these. Some of you might have heard that Aisha radiallahu anha, she wrote the Qur'an on a piece of paper or a sheet of paper, wrapped it around a young boy when he was sick. Practices like this we do find that the Sahaba did. But look at the Sahaba and look at us now. When we use something like this, the majority of the time we find whoever is using this believes that this will protect them. Whereas the Sahaba and Aisha radiallahu anha, being the mother of the believers, the wife of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, understood that this was a means of shifa. A way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would grant shifa is through the Qur'an. As he said that there is healing in the Qur'an. And when the boy is better, they would take it off. And they wouldn't keep it on him 24/7. When he goes to the bathroom, the words of Allah are with him, and so on and so forth. Right? So this kind of practice has become culturally ingrained in people to a degree that if you tell them take this off, they will scream and shout and forcefully keep it, because this will make them better. You tell them, what happened to Allah? Isn't Allah the one who is al-qadiru ala kulli shay, ala kulli shay'in qadir, able to do all things, protect you from any harm? If He is the one that created everything, all the harm. So then we ask Allah to protect us min sharri ma khalaq, from the evil, all the evil that He has created. So we rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these amulets, these lucky charms, these bracelets, necklaces, whatever they may be, all of them, you are not permitted to be using any of this. If you attend the Ruqyah center with any of this, then we will be asking you to take this off, and we will destroy that in front of you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, because majority of the time, unfortunately, and people are not aware of this, but we do find that they contain something that will harm the person more than it will help them. They are told that it is verses of Qur'an. In the end we open it up and we find some sort of sihr in there, some sort of magic. We have opened up in front of patients amulets that they have been wearing around their neck, around their waist, around their arm, and so on and so forth, right? On their person, they've been carrying it around, right? Sometimes they find Qur'an and you say, what have you been doing with this? I take it to the bathroom with me. I've been told never to take it off. It's got my name in it, and so on and so forth, and the protection from Allah. If it's protection from Allah, Allah protects you when you call upon Him, not when you wear something around your neck. Prophet ﷺ in a very famous hadith said that whoever hangs something, then Muhammad ﷺ has nothing to do with him. And this hadith is graded as Sahih by Imam al-Albani, and you will find it in the books of Al-Imam al-Nasa'i.